Board received an email on Friday sent from the president's personal office on behalf of President Donald Trump. Of course, the National Science Board was created in 1950 to advise the president and Congress on science and engineering policy, approve major funding awards, and guide the foundation's future. Now, every member of the current 22-person board was let go. That's according to information that we've been able to get a hold of.
Morgan Ashley, bringing you the content that connects our communities. You're watching NonStop Local Pulse Prime.
Good evening, I'm Morgan Ashley. Welcome to Pulse Prime. Let's get right into our weather forecast. Tori Smith's tracking everything we need to know.
And we've got clear skies for portions of the Tri-Cities over to Yakima. A couple of showers still remain for Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. It really just depends on where you're at for this evening. We're going to continue to track it right here. Spokane currently 54 degrees, a little bit warmer still as we head towards Tri-Cities and Yakima. You can see some of the relative humidity is about 46%, 47%. Towards Yakima, winds are going to be pretty slight at this hour as well. We do have a little bit of instability in the atmosphere right now. Idaho over to even the Montana area, seeing a couple of showers, clearing skies towards Yakima as well as the Tri-Cities. So we're going to continue to track that overnight, but as we lose the daytime heating, we're losing some of those showers as well. Here's a look at the next 12 hours here in Spokane, Tri-Cities, and Yakima. Temperature is going to be nice and brisk for tomorrow morning. In the meantime, enjoy those temperatures into the 50s and 60s tonight. Morgan, back to you.
All right, thanks, Tori. Well, Spokane City Council is moving to make it easier for mobile food vendors to operate by removing several regulatory barriers. A new proposed ordinance aims to remove annual licenses and other registrations in the state of Washington. However, these changes will come with increasing compliance costs and risk. Aimed at ensuring public health and safety standards are still met. Tonight, they did hold a first reading on that ordinance. Another hot button item discussed this evening has to do with a different set of wheels in the streets of Spokane. A resolution supporting a Spokane Transit Authority ballot initiative could put a public transit funding vote before voters in August. Here's NonStop Local's Ainsley Anderson.
Connecting everyone to opportunity, that's not my words, that's their slogan. They put that on the buses, connecting everyone to opportunity.
Council voted in a 6-to-1 vote Monday night supporting a possible August ballot measure, stripping the sunset clause to an already existing 0.2% sales and use tax for public transit funding.
And it would be 2 cents of every $10 spent or 1 cent for every $5 spent. So it's a very small amount of money. And has a huge benefit to this community.
Members of the community sharing support for the resolution to be brought forth sooner rather than later.
Overwhelmingly, the position of both the board and the community has been one that stresses reauthorization as an absolute necessity.
However, Councilmember Michael Cathcart says axing the sunset clause could open the door for funds to be misused.
And I think a plan that includes a sunset clause is going to have a far more likelihood of passing than one that does not.
He goes on to say sunset clauses help hold agencies accountable for using money in the way they say.
That is how you ensure that the agency follows through on its commitments, all of the commitments.
However, all other council members voiced support for the continuous funding.
Transit and ST in particular as just such a critical lifeline for our region.
And the last ballot measure that we passed has really gotten our bus system to the state it is today, where people can brag about it, and really strengthening our community and providing a lifeline.
The city already has a 0.2% sales tax. This is the same amount that may go before voters in August.
People use ST every day to connect to work, school, stores, healthcare clinics, recreation. Everything in our city and our community is connected through public transit.
The only difference now,
a sunset clause.
In Spokane, I'm Ainsley Anderson, NonStop Local.
Well, hard conversations are being had in Spokane County regarding the future of a program utilized by nonprofits during events many of us enjoy each year. The question county commissioners must answer: does it make sense to continue the work crew program out of the jail for another year? The program operates at a net loss of more than $300,000. The county could opt to keep it in place for the next year, but at a much higher cost to those who rely on it. For example, the Spokane County Fairgrounds could be asked to up their investment from $700 per crew per day to more than $1,900. Commissioners say this is a conversation that'll be ongoing before a final decision is made. Well, tonight, the families and friends of 3 teenage girls in Adams County are grieving after a crash in Othello took their young lives far too soon. 19-year-old Prisciliano Perez Pineda appeared in court today. He's accused of causing a crash in Othello. The judge discussed his driving history, including a DUI conviction from November and a pending DUI arrest from January. Police say the crash happened when a sedan and pickup truck collided, flipping the truck into a canal. All 3 passengers, teenage girls, were ejected and killed. Since his arrest, police say Perez Pineda used to have a relationship with one of the victims, which police say will mean a domestic violence enhancement to one of his charges. The state has until April 29th to file charges. The Othello School District canceled testing that was scheduled for tomorrow in an effort to afford students a sense of normalcy. In a statement shared on their Facebook page, the district says it recognizes many in the community are grieving, while adding the strength of the community matters deeply and encouraged everyone to look out for one another. Staffing changes are coming to the Toppenish School District, and not everyone's on board. People are raising concerns on how these decisions are being made and what they could mean for students moving forward. Here's Brendan Jen.
The Toppenish School District making cuts to their staff after they say enrollment has dropped over 100 students in each of their last 3 school years. The district says 9 positions were cut on April 24th, 8 full-time employees and 1 half-time employee.
We've really been over the last few years evaluating our staffing and making sure that it actually represents our actual enrollment, and so that we are, able to maintain a healthy budget.
The cut positions happening across the district. Brittany Capel says the cuts will save over $1 million, adjusting for student and district needs.
Over the last few years, we've just really been trying to address the budget realities of our district and really make sure that we're aligning resources with what our programs actually need. And so with that declining enrollment and just really looking at program efficiency, we're trying to make sure that we make these adjustments.
Community members attending Monday's board meeting raising questions about the cuts.
Please go back, look at student reports and counselor reports. How many people have requested those classes before things get cut? Because you are throwing away the reasons and the access points that we have to get students to school.
We are also being told that programs are being cut due to low enrollment, yet some of those courses are among the most requested by students. This does not reflect transparency. It raises questions about how these decisions are actually being made.
Capel says the district is working to balance the budget and adjust for reducing enrollment moving forward.
We always encourage people to reach out to us so that we can explain these kinds of decisions to them. Again, they're not decisions that we make lightly, and we know that there are things that people have questions about.
In Toppenish, Brendan Jen, NonStop Local.
Well, the Natchez Fire Department responded to a vehicle in the Natchez River yesterday morning. It was determined by tire tracks that the driver was headed westbound on Highway 12. At some point, they crossed over into the eastbound lanes and then into a sports complex before ultimately ending up in the river. Video from a homeowner shows the car driving down the road just before 5 a.m. Sunday. The driver was reportedly speeding and honking before popping a tire in a yard. Washington State Patrol says that inflatable rafts were used to rescue the driver from a nearby island. The driver faces charges of taking a motor vehicle without permission and underage alcohol possession. Well, right now, the Washington State Attorney General's office says it's going after Albertsons for allegedly overcharging its customers through buy one, get one free deals. Attorney General Nick Brown claims the company, which also runs Safeway stores, overcharged customers on more than 3 million transactions between October of 2019 and May of 2024. The lawsuit claims the company would raise the prices of items like bread and produce before the buy one, get one free promotion and then lower them once the promotion had ended. Albertsons companies responded to the lawsuit saying, quote, "We engaged in good faith discussions with the Attorney General's office and strongly disagree with its claims, which are based on flawed analysis and data errors that we identified and raised." Albertsons added they are committed to complying with the law and offering value to customers through their promotions. You can actually read their full statement on our website, nonstoplocal.com. The Washington State Department of Agriculture says it's awarded $2.7 million in local food infrastructure. According to a press release, the department says this will help local farmers and small businesses in hopes of increasing access to healthy, high-quality foods. The funding is split into 6 projects across the state, which will focus on several areas like processing efficiency, expanding distribution, and enhancing food safety and availability. Well, the NFL draft has now come and gone. More than 250 players selected over 3 days. Austin Getz joins us now. 8 of those players now are Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, talk about a move. You go from college to heading to the great Pacific Northwest. And it's a bigger rookie class, Morgan, than we were expecting the Seahawks to have before the draft started. And that's because the Hawks entered the draft with only 4 picks, but ended up making 8 selections after a flurry of trades on the final day of the draft. Obviously, the Seahawks didn't go into the draft with a bunch of huge holes on their roster. They did just win the Super Bowl after all. But General Manager John Schneider says just because you've had success in the past, that doesn't mean you can get complacent.
You never ever feel like it's like, oh yeah, you feel good about your team and you love the guys, but there's a part of our philosophy is like, what are we missing? You know, and how do we get better? I mean, it's just how we roll.
And the Seahawks continue to add to that rookie class with undrafted free agent signings, which are ongoing. And in fact, Morgan, actually, you are the next Seattle Seahawk. How do you feel?
I would love that.
Yeah.
There's no way.
What position would you play?
Oh,
Quarterback?
I don't even know. You're going to have to
play quarterback.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Sam Darnold, watch out.
Wide receiver.
There we go. Catch some passes.
Yeah.
You and Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp.
I'm like the same size as like some of them.
Are
they shorter?
Some of them.
Yeah, okay. Still to come here tonight. The Spokane Machinist Institute bridging gaps in training and providing the community with new opportunities. Learn more about that later tonight.
And we're talking about the showers that are moving out of the inland northwest, followed by some warmer temperatures through your work week. We'll have your full forecast here on Pulse Prime.
Content connecting community. You're watching The Pulse.
I'm Bradley Warren. Welcome inside the Pulse studios. This is The Pulse. We'll start with this right now. Charges were announced today against the man accused of attempting to assassinate the president over the weekend. Cole Allen, who authorities say stormed the White House Correspondents' Dinner with multiple weapons and opened fire, was charged today with attempted assassination of President Donald Trump. The 31-year-old appeared in federal court in the District of Columbia. He did not enter a plea and will remain in custody. A hearing on Thursday will determine if he's eligible for pretrial release. King Charles III arrived in the States today, kicking off a 4-day visit, marking the 250th anniversary of independence from Great Britain, all in an effort to strengthen our relationship strained by the war in Iran. President Trump has in recent weeks made remarks about the British Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, and his unwillingness to join the military effort in Iran. The king is expected to address Congress tomorrow afternoon. The last monarch to do so was, of course, his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, at the invitation of Speaker of the House Tom Foley, who was our congressman. We'll take you to D.C. for that tomorrow. As we wrap things up right now, diplomatic efforts are stalling again. This in the relationship between Iran and the United States. As Iran's foreign minister was in Russia today meeting with President Vladimir Putin, the nation has offered to mediate talks between them as the United States is still in the process of blocking the Strait of Hormuz. We'll leave it right here. Thanks for being with us. More to come on the other side. For now, I'm Bradley Warren. This has been The Pulse.
Well, right now, unemployment in Washington state sits at just over 5%. That's according to the Office of Washington Governor Bob Ferguson. And those looking for high-paying jobs, manufacturing may be something to look into, particularly jobs supporting the aerospace industry. Here's NonStop Local's Belle Lewis.
But what sort of skills are they teaching here at the Mechanics Institute? Well, they're teaching a lot of different things, including welding. And I decided to try my hand at it. I want to show you some of my results. This was my first attempt. You can see here some hesitation marks where I held the welding iron just a little bit too far away. But by the fourth attempt, I'd really made some progress. And it's that progress that companies are looking for when they're hiring people with these specific skills.
We can give them basic skills to get employed in manufacturing, aerospace manufacturing, welding, and other automotive programs that we also have.
Right over here we have a lathe, and it's used to make metal coasters and pretty much anything else you can imagine, just like this one. And if you come right over here, we actually have a 3D printer that's printing a version of the same coaster as we speak.
So in general, our cohorts last about 12 weeks, and we cover a lot of foundational skills. We also talk about not just the technical skills, but what it means to work in manufacturing, the teamwork component, the communications aspects.
And over here we have some of the basic training, hands-on materials that are available, everything from circuitry to factory automation, and it's a way for students to do some troubleshooting, to learn what works and what doesn't in a factory environment.
We had a vision that we wanted to provide training for our members, for the workforce, for people in our community. This is opportunity.
So here at the Mechanics Institute, they give them a chance to test and hone those skills and then be hired in the industry, sometimes for $30 or $40 an hour, into an industry that I'm told really needs more people working. It's a way to expand the economy, and now you can receive that training right here in Spokane.
Temperatures are a little bit warmer outside because of the cloud coverage across the inland northwest. We have 56 degrees towards Yakima. We have about 61 for Tri-Cities and 54 towards Spokane. I'm saying this is a little bit warmer than we usually see, but you're still going to want to grab a jacket if you are on your way out the door. And you're going to want to grab one for tomorrow as well. Temperatures are going to start out into the 40s. As of now, we have showers lingering in the forecast, mainly in the Idaho area, a little bit in Montana as well. But for Spokane, we're starting to see some clearing skies, and that trend will continue into tomorrow. But the big kicker here is we have some warm weather that's causing some of these showers. This is just staying pretty much to the west of Missoula. And these warmer temperatures will start to continue to get warmer as we have high pressure going to start to filter in here as well. The cool Arctic air is now off towards Montana. But some of that warmer air will result in a couple of thunderstorms, definitely a possibility for portions of the inland northwest. That's primarily Washtenaw over to Lookout Pass, and even over towards Missoula could see an isolated thunderstorm into your day tomorrow. That trend will continue to move further off into the east. As for now, we're already starting to see some of these showers dissipate as we're losing the heating of the day. Moses Lake almost in the clear for now. The same goes for Sunnyside and down into the Tri-Cities, Kennewick, and Pasco. 40 degrees overnight towards Omak, 40 in Moses Lake, 37 towards Pullman. So some areas starting out a little bit chilly, but they're going to be warming up for tomorrow as we have that warm air starting to continuously filter in, and then the high pressure going to start to filter in as well. So here's a look at about 6 a.m. If you're down south towards Grangeville, you could already see a shower starting for the day. But most of us are staying in the clear. We're going to see a couple of clouds filter in. But if you're anywhere up towards the north, that goes for Bonners Ferry. You are the exception. You've got a little bit of precipitation for the afternoon tomorrow. And some of those areas could definitely see a thunderstorm develop as well. So don't be surprised if you see one of those thunderclouds starting to roll into the area. Tomorrow, highs are going to be into the low 60s from Coeur d'Alene to Spokane. We have 70s as we head towards Moses Lake down to Yakima, and about 67 as we head down south towards Hermiston. So it's going to be a pretty relatively warm day. We have that cool air starting to filter out. That high pressure we've been talking about is just off the coast. That's going to bring us some fair and dry weather by the time we get to about the next couple of days. So that'll also help us stay a little bit warmer, a little bit above average for this time of year. By Friday, we're seeing some areas already into the 80s. And then heading into this upcoming weekend, where we have Bloomsday, 76 seems to be the temperature that's pretty promising right now. But if that high pressure moves in a little bit sooner, that could mean that the temperatures actually go upwards of about 80 degrees. We'll be back after the break.
From the Northern Quest Sports Studio, this is SWX NonStop Local Sports.
The Seattle Mariners went on the road to St. Louis over the weekend and left with a sweep of the Cardinals. Next up, 3 in Minneapolis against the Twins. Mariners looking to get back to 500 for the first time since April 3rd, but already down 2-0 when Cody Clemens takes Luis Castillo for a ride. That's out of the ballpark for a 3-run homer. It's 5-0 Twins. Next inning, man on for Minnesota center fielder Byron Buxton. He crushes another one deep to left field. That's way gone. Castillo allowing 7 runs in 4 innings, and the Mariners are getting blown out. Not too much to smile about for Seattle tonight, but here in the 8th, Cal Raleigh gets around on a ball, sails over the fence for his 7th home run of the year. But the Twins do win it 11-4, however. It snaps Seattle's season-high 4-game win streak. They'll look to bounce back tomorrow in Game 2 of the series. It'll start at 4:40. The Gonzaga men's basketball team has only landed 1 transfer portal addition so far this offseason, and now he's one of 71 1 players to put his name into the early entry portion of the NBA draft process. Houston transfer and incoming Zag Isaiah Harwell is on the list, as is German import and Zag-to-be Jack Cahill. Now, this does not mean that they're completely off the table to be Zags. It's just that they're testing the waters to see if there's a chance they'll get drafted. Harwell and other college players have until May 27th to withdraw their name from the draft. But for an international player like Cahill, that deadline isn't until June 13th. If they do end up pulling their names out of the pool, they will be Zags next season. Washington State Cougar men's basketball adding another transfer today, landing Oregon transfer Jamari Phillips. That's according to the Spokesman Review. The 6'4" guard was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school back in 2024. He appeared in 40 total games over 2 years with the Ducks, this season averaging just under 3 points in 11 minutes per game. Phillips is the 8th transfer the Cougs have added this offseason. And with a sweep of Loyola Marymount over the weekend, the Gonzaga baseball team extended their school record win streak to now 14 games and also kept a firm hold on first place in the WCC. Gonzaga pitchers Karsten Swim and Landon Hood are the WCC pitcher and freshman of the week, respectively. The Zags are now 4 games ahead of second place San Francisco in the conference standings, and at 27-14 on the season are making a good case for an NCAA tournament appearance. Tomorrow, it's a big test for Gonzaga's win streak and an opportunity for their tournament resume. The Zags will have a 1-game midweek series with 13th ranked Oregon at PK Park in Eugene. The Ducks coming in on a 5-game win streak. It starts tomorrow just after 2 o'clock. And the Pac-12 revealing their new logo, the one they'll carry with them when their new era begins on July 1st. Not too many landmark changes. You'll notice it's still the Pac-12, despite there only being currently 9 full membership schools. But before anyone complains about that, the Big 12 conference actually has 16 members, and the Big 10 conference actually has 18. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the two logos, the new on the left, the old on the right. You can see, not too drastic of a change. Perhaps the most notable is the old shield outline is no longer there, but the general shield shape is more or less the same. Letters have also slightly been altered, so as the mountain in the center of the logo has been slightly tweaked as well. Get used to seeing this logo. It'll be everywhere as the Pac-12 looks to turn the page into a new era this summer.
Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. We hope you have a good one, good start to the week, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow for Pulse Prime.
Ashley, bringing you the content that connects our communities. You're watching